This presentation is fundamentally flawed. Everyone, I apologize for this waste of time. Meredith's voice sliced through the room like glass under pressure, halting my sentence mid-word. My fingers froze on the projector remote. 42 faces swiveled from my market analysis slides to me, expressions shifting between curiosity and discomfort. The methodology used here wouldn't pass a first-year business course, Meredith continued, standing up with a poise that felt rehearsed. The conclusions are amateur at best and dangerously misleading at worst. My stomach twisted. 6 months of data, analysis, and sleepless nights projected on the wall behind her now, reduced to a public dismantling. Meredith walked toward the front of the room, heels clicking against the polished floor, her body sliding effortlessly between me and the screen. The growth projections ignore basic saturation principles, she said, gesturing at my chart. And the competitive analysis fails to include 3 key players. She hadn't reviewed my work once. Not a question, not a comment, not even a glance before this moment. I'm embarrassed this even reached presentation stage, she sighed dramatically. Tegan clearly isn't ready for client-facing work. Heat crawled up my neck. The largest potential client in our firm's history sat 3 seats away watching. The marketing director avoided my eyes. The CEO frowned slightly but said nothing. Around the room, junior analysts buried their gazes in notepads, pretending not to witness the slow-motion execution. Meredith kept going, dissecting each line, each slide, every decision I'd made. Every word felt like a hammer strike to something I'd spent months building. Then my phone buzzed in my pocket. Once. Twice. A third time. When Meredith finally finished, she gave me a tight, satisfied smile. Why don't you sit down, and I'll show everyone the real picture? I gathered my notes, movements robotic, and took a chair at the edge of the room. My phone vibrated again. 3 new messages from an unknown number. This is Astrid Novara. Your analysis is correct. She's wrong. Meet me in the atrium. 5 minutes. My head jerked up. Across the table, Astrid Novara, the client, was already watching me. Her expression calm, unreadable. She slipped her phone into her blazer pocket without a word. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to like and comment. It helps me craft more stories of corporate tension and quiet revenge. Now, back to what happened when I followed Astrid Novara into the atrium. My name is Tegan Walsh. And until this morning, I believed I was on track to become the youngest team lead in Brookwater's 15-year history. I'd clawed my way up from entry level, surviving 3 restructures, countless 2 a.m. deadlines, and client crises that would have broken lesser analysts. My models had made real money. Clients asked for me by name. None of that mattered after Meredith Benedict became division head, slipped out of the conference room, while she began her alternate presentation slides I'd never seen. Data that contradicted months of validated research. Nobody noticed me leave except Astrid Novara, who gave the faintest nod of acknowledgement. The atrium was quiet at 10:30 a.m., sunlight spilling through its glass walls. My heart still thudded with the rhythm of humiliation as I paced between the indoor trees. Your methodology was sound. I turned. Astrid stood near the windows, her silhouette outlined in pale morning light. She looked every inch the legend I'd read about, sharp, composed, effortlessly commanding. Early 50s, maybe, but with a presence that eclipsed everyone else in the building. Miss Novara. Astrid, she corrected gently. And you're Tegan Walsh, the analyst whose work I specifically came to evaluate. Her words caught me off guard. Your segmentation analysis, she continued. It uses the Carney-Novara principle for market volatility, doesn't it? Yes, I stammered. It's a relatively new model, but it predicts with greater accuracy in unstable sectors. I know. A small smile touched her lips. I'm the Novara in Carne Novara. The breath left my lungs. Astrid Novara, one of the most cited economists of our time, had watched my professional execution an hour earlier. She didn't criticize your work because it was wrong, Astrid said calmly. She criticized it because she doesn't understand it. But she sounded so confident, I whispered, remembering Meredith's icy dismantling. People threatened by intelligence. They can't match, often respond with absolute certainty. Astrid tilted her head slightly. Tell me, did Miss Benedict ever review your analysis before today? No. I submitted it 3 times. She said she trusted me to handle it, but she prepared her own presentation behind my back. Interesting. Astrid's eyes sharpened. A flicker of calculation behind them. The few executives passed through the atrium, and she gestured for us to move toward a quieter corner. I've been watching Brookwater for some time, she said, lowering her voice. Your projections caught my attention. They mirror models my team built internally, models that were never made public. I built mine from scratch, I said quickly, defensive. She nodded. I believe you. That's precisely why I'm here. Her tone changed, colder, more deliberate. Do you know why Veltra Industries is considering Brookwater for this contract? Because you're expanding into sustainable materials, I said. You need market forecasts for 5 new product lines. That's the official reason, she agreed. But I personally requested the analyst who authored the Thompson-Hardy report last year. The name hit me like ice water. That was Meredith's award-winning project. Astrid's expression darkened. Was it now? We were interrupted by her assistant, reminding her of the next meeting. As we walked back, Astrid said quietly, Your manager doesn't know who I really am. She doesn't know I wrote the methodology she just ridiculed. But I do. And I see what's happening here. She stopped near the elevators and met my eyes. So Tegan, what will you do now? What could I say? My voice came out small. I don't know. Think carefully, she advised. Some battles are fought with confrontation, others with strategy. She handed me a plain white business card. No logo, no title, just a number. When you decide, call me. Back at my desk, the humiliation still burned under my skin. No one met my eyes. Meredith's email waited in my inbox. Tegan, let's discuss your performance tomorrow. 9 a.m. My office. We all knew what that meant. For 3 years, I'd given everything to this company. Nights, weekends, relationships. I'd built databases no one else understood. Automated systems that saved thousands of hours. And now, I was about to be discarded, another casualty of someone else's ambition. I just started clearing my desk when my phone rang. Hello? Tegan, it's Lynn from legal. Can you come to conference room B? Bring your laptop. Something in her tone made my pulse quicken. Why? Just come. Conference room B was small, windowless, and cold under fluorescent light. Lynn waited with Sharon from HR. Neither looked hostile, just uneasy. Close the door, Sharon said. If this is about this morning. It's not, Lynn interrupted. We need to see your original Thompson-Hardy files. What? Please, Sharon added. This isn't disciplinary. I opened my laptop, fingers trembling slightly. Why do you need them? That report was published last year. Veltra Industries, Lynn explained, is questioning the methodology used in Meredith's presentation today. They want to compare it to the Thompson-Hardy data. I navigated to my archives and opened the old project folder. Hundreds of hours of code and analysis stared back. Meredith should have the final versions, I said. She submitted them. That's what we need to verify, Sharon replied softly. Can you pull up the document history? When I opened the file properties, a cascade of timestamps filled the screen, Every edit, every revision, every submission. Lynn's breath caught. She never touched it. Lynn whispered. What? I looked closer. The final upload had gone directly from my workstation to the publication portal. Meredith's credentials appeared nowhere. She couldn't have edited it, I realized aloud. The models were written in proprietary code. She wouldn't have known how without breaking the formulas. So she submitted your work directly, Sharon said quietly, and claimed it as her own. The door opened. All three of us turned. Astrid Navarra stood in the doorway followed by our CEO. Found what you needed? Astrid asked. I nodded mutely. Excellent, she said. Now, Teg and I believe we have a strategy to discuss. The CEO's face was unreadable. Miss Navarra has raised concerns, he said carefully. She believes there may have been a misattribution of work. Astrid's gaze flicked to the open laptop. Fascinating timestamps. My pulse thundered. This could end me or redeem me completely. Mr. Brooks, Astrid said. May I have a moment with Miss Walsh? The CEO hesitated, then nodded. Conference room, keep this confidential. When the others left, Astrid guided me to the larger room floor-to-ceiling glass. Sunlight spilling over polished wood. Far below, the city carried on, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing up here. Sit, she said, taking the seat beside me. Now tell me everything about Meredith Benedict. So I did. From my early days as a junior analyst, through the projects Meredith had restructured into her portfolio, to the award she'd accepted for work she hadn't done. She never creates, I said quietly. She harvests, takes half-finished ideas, changes a few words, and presents them as her own. When the Thompson-Hardy report won that award, 3 analysts quit. Why didn't you? Astrid asked. I stared out the window at the glittering skyline. Because I believed in what we were building. And I thought I could outlast her. The next morning, my calendar update appeared at 8:42 a.m. Meeting change. Performance review rescheduled to 4:30 p.m. The delay wasn't mercy. It was strategy. Meredith loved making people wait. She'd let anxiety do half her work before she even entered the room. By noon, whispers had already started circulating. Something about Veltra requesting a re-evaluation. Something about the Navarra clause buried deep in the partnership agreement. Every passing hour wound the tension tighter. When 4:30 finally came, Meredith didn't look up as I stepped into her office. Her desk, as always, was spotless save for the neat stack of folders arranged with surgical precision. She signed something, capped her pen, then met my gaze with a smile so composed it almost looked real. Sit down, Tegan. I obeyed, folding my hands to hide their slight tremor. She exhaled through her nose, the picture of practiced disappointment. You've been with us, 3 years now? Almost 4. She leaned back, fingertips steepled. You've grown. You've been ... capable. But lately I'm concerned about your alignment with our division's strategic vision. There it was, the prelude to execution. Your analysis, she continued, shows potential, but your presentation yesterday, well, it undermined client confidence. I've spoken with the executive board, and while they're sympathetic, we can't overlook performance concerns. Performance, I repeated softly, tasting the word like something bitter. Of course, I'm willing to be fair. HR's drafting a development plan 90 days to meet improved metrics. Or we'll have to re-evaluate your role here. Translation: 90 days to fail quietly. Meredith slid a folder across the desk. Inside, a printed action plan, bullet-pointed in corporate neutrality. I stared at it, then looked up. Did you tell Astrid Novara you were using her proprietary research in your presentation? Her expression faltered just enough to confirm everything. Excuse me? She recognized your model. Because she wrote it. Meredith's eyes narrowed. Be careful, Tegan. She also saw the file history from the Thompson Hardy project. I kept my tone calm even. The timestamps. The edit logs. The fact that your credentials never appeared once. For the first time since I'd known her, Meredith Benedict looked genuinely startled. You went to legal. They called me. She recovered quickly. You misunderstand. I provided strategic oversight. Analysts execute. Managers ensure direction. You mean you take credit? I said quietly. Her composure cracked. You're walking a dangerous line. I'm not walking anywhere, I replied, standing. I'm done letting you use my work to build your reputation. Her voice sharpened to a blade. You're finished here. Before I could respond, a knock interrupted us. Come in. Meredith snapped. The door opened, revealing Astrid Novara. Behind her stood Mr. Brooks, our CEO, and Lynn from legal, carrying a slim folder. The room froze. Meredith's tone changed instantly. Astrid, what a surprise. I'm sure it is, Astrid said smoothly. Mr. Brooks, perhaps we should begin. Please, the CEO said, motioning for me to stay. Astrid took the seat across from Meredith. We'll keep this brief. My firm has completed a preliminary audit of Brookwater's submissions for the Veltra proposal. She opened a folder, her movements precise. We found significant overlap between Brookwater's data models and unpublished internal frameworks belonging to Novara Analytics. Meredith blanched. That's impossible, is it? Astrid slid a printed page across the desk. Here's a comparison of your slides from yesterday and my team's proprietary methodology down to identical equation structures. Meredith started, then stopped. And interestingly, Astrid continued, the only name on those files before submission was Miss Walsh's. Silence. Mr. Brooks spoke finally. Meredith, can you explain this? Her mouth opened, then closed. There must be some misunderstanding. Enough, Astrid said gently, almost kindly. No more misunderstandings. Not today. She turned to the CEO. Brookwater has talent worth protecting, but not under leadership that weaponizes deceit. My recommendation: retain Miss Walsh. Terminate Miss Benedict. Meredith's chair creaked. You can't. I can, Astrid interrupted, voice like cold water. Veltra's contract depends on it. The silence that followed was absolute. Mr. Brooks exhaled slowly. Meredith, please step outside. Her eyes flicked between us rage, disbelief, and something close to fear warring on her face. Then she stood, spine stiff, and walked out. The door shut softly behind her. Astrid looked at me. You handled yourself well. I didn't do anything, I said quietly. You did, she corrected. You told the truth when it mattered. Lynn closed the folder. We'll need you to document everything that happened with previous projects, Tegan. If this goes to arbitration, your notes will be key. Of course, I said. When the meeting ended, Astrid lingered behind. You've got good instincts, she said. Don't let what happened make you smaller. What happens now? She smiled faintly. You'll see. 2 weeks later, Brookwater announced a new partnership with Novara Analytics, strategic alliance focusing on ethical data practices and leadership accountability. The press release named me as lead analyst for special projects. Meredith's name was nowhere to be found. I never asked what Astrid had done behind the scenes. I didn't need to. Whatever leverage she'd wielded, it had been enough. My first day in the new role, Astrid stopped by my desk. How's it feel? Strange, I admitted. Like I should still be waiting for something to go wrong. She smiled. Then you're exactly where you should be. Suspicion keeps you sharp, just don't let it turn into fear. I nodded. Thank you. For everything. Don't thank me yet, she said. The real work starts now. As she walked away, I realized I finally understood what she meant that day in the atrium. About some battles being fought with confrontation, and others with strategy. Meredith had chosen the first. Astrid had mastered the second. And me, I'd learned to wield both. Brookwater had changed since the Novara partnership announcement. On the surface, things looked brighter. New sustainability initiatives, talk of ethical analytics and company memos, a fresh coat of hope over old corruption. But beneath, you could still feel the tremors Meredith left behind. The culture of quiet fear hadn't died. It had just learned to whisper more politely. Every morning, I crossed the atrium where I'd once waited for Astrid, like a nervous student summoned to the principal's office. Now, executives who used to ignore me nodded in greeting. My inbox overflowed with collaboration requests. People called my insights visionary. Funny how quickly respect appears when someone powerful decides you're worth noticing. Astrid and I met weekly, usually early, before the building filled. She preferred the quiet, said it made people's true thoughts easier to hear. One morning, as sunlight burned through the atrium glass, she handed me a slim folder. Veltra signed the second phase. You'll lead it. I flipped through the documents. The Southeast expansion? 5 new facilities, multi-region modeling, environmental impact analysis. All under your oversight. I hesitated. That's a senior director's scope. She smiled faintly. It is. Which means the only question left is whether you're ready to act like one. I looked up. Are you offering me her old position? Astrid's eyes softened, but her voice stayed even. I'm offering you the chance to rebuild what she broke, and to prove leadership doesn't require cruelty. I didn't answer right away. I thought of Meredith's smirk, the humiliation, the coldness that had nearly crushed me. Then I thought of the analysts who still worked under that same fear, waiting for their turn to be devoured. I'll take it, I said finally. The official promotion came a week later. HR sent flowers. The CEO shook my hand in front of a camera crew. Astrid watched from the back of the room, her expression unreadable, like a chess player who already knew the endgame. When the applause faded, she approached me. How does it feel to be on the other side of the table? Strange, I admitted. Liberating. Terrifying. Good, she said. If you ever stop feeling both, you've become the thing you replaced. It took time to undo the culture Meredith left behind. I started small, crediting team members publicly, encouraging analysts to present their own findings, rebuilding the idea that ownership mattered. Some executives resisted, muttering that I was too academic, too transparent. Astrid's warning echoed in my head. Suspicion keeps you sharp. Just don't let it turn into fear. So I kept my edge. Quietly, methodically, I audited every archived project Meredith had touched. And what I found made my stomach drop. Fabricated data. Altered metrics. Hidden overrides in code libraries she'd claimed to develop. She hadn't just stolen credit. She'd built her empire on falsified results. Compiled everything into a report labeled Internal Integrity Review. When I sent it to the CEO and legal, I didn't expect a response for days. I got one within an hour. Subject: Integrity Review Findings from Legal Affairs 2. Tegan Walsh Tegan. Thank you. This information will be instrumental in pending arbitration. Please do not discuss the contents with anyone. Lynn pending arbitration. So Astrid had already made her move. 2 weeks later, the news broke. Industry headlines read, former Brookwater executive, under investigation for data misrepresentation. Meredith. Benedict's photo appeared beside the article. The same confident expression she'd worn while dismantling me in front of 42 people. Now it looked brittle, hollow. That night, I sat alone in my office, lights dimmed, the city stretching out beyond the window like a map of choices. My inbox pinged. From Astrid Navarra, subject. Closure, justice and revenge often look identical from a distance. You handled this with restraint. I'm proud of you. And I smiled, not out of triumph, but release. Months passed. The company stabilized. The analysts who'd once flinched at Meredith's shadow began laughing again in the break room. Confidence bloomed where caution used to grow. One afternoon I found Astrid standing in the atrium, looking up at the skylight as sunlight painted the marble floor in fractured gold. "You're leaving," I said. She nodded. "My work here's done. Veltra's moving forward. Brookwater doesn't need me now. It has you." I swallowed the sudden tightness in my throat. "You're not easy to replace." "Nor should I be," she said. "But you'll learn something important, Tegan. Leadership isn't about winning wars. It's about deciding which ones are worth fighting at all." I wanted to thank her again, to say what her belief had meant when I had none left for myself. But before I could, she was already turning toward the elevator, her reflection fading in the glass. Weeks later, I presented our first joint Veltra Brookwater initiative, a transparent data ethics model built to prevent internal credit theft. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. When I finished, the room applauded. The same conference room where Meredith once destroyed me now echoed with acknowledgement instead of derision. I caught my reflection in the glass wall. Calm, steady, composed. Not unscarred, but stronger for it. For the first time, I understood what Astrid had been teaching me all along. Some people rise by tearing others down. Others rise by holding ground when the floor disappears beneath them. And sometimes, if you stay steady long enough, the ground rebuilds itself beneath your feet. Asterisk.